can see running away. Welcome back. We are here. I am Mr. Cody. This is my painting studio, and we are live. Today, we are finally finishing up this wonderful landscape that we've been working on for several weeks now. Again, here's my reference image. You can see it up close right there, working off of this image I took while in Cape Cod on the National Dune State Park up there. So we're going to do a few things today. I've been working a little bit. As you can see, I have some colors mixed. I got the sandy tan color that we've been using in my foreground. A really nice bright mint green. I realized the green that we used last time was it was nice and warm, which was good, but it wasn't quite light enough. And so I went ahead and added some of that green in here, as you can see. And I think overall what I need to go back and do is make sure we have enough contrast, especially in some of these tall grasses that we have going on here in the foreground. Everything else looks pretty good. They worked on this region a little bit. Not quite sure how I feel about that area, but we might touch that up a little bit. And yeah, overall, we're going to work on this painting here. Hope everyone's having a happy, healthy, safe Tuesday. It's a beautiful day outside today, a little chilly for May, but then again, it did snow just a few days ago in Jersey and in other parts of PA. So it's a weird May. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this brush, this flat brush that kind of has these tapered bristles. I've been using this a lot in this painting because it's really, I can be really kind of light and feathery with these end brushes, but also make some pretty definitive strokes with the more dense brushes back towards the metal. So we're going to make some linseed oil. Again, using the same materials as before, linseed oil, mineral spirits, some liquid to make sure things dry a little quicker, although not a whole lot of that today because this should be our last layer. We don't need things to dry too much. Get that nice and liquidy, and I'm gonna move you forward just a little bit. There we go. It's sitting on this piece of wood. Move that. All right, so we're gonna come in here. Okay, looks like I need some more paint. Looks like it was too much in the medium, too much of that linseed oil. And what happens is you'll get too transparent of a color. So instead, we're gonna come in here. There we go. I want some more pigment because I want to darken this area up. I do somewhat like that transparent quality. I wonder if you can, once I finish this little section, I'll zoom in for you. But it's nice to have a little bit of transparent quality because you can still get the warmth, especially of the long grass and the orange. I can still get that warmth of it coming through. But that's exactly the contrast I'm looking for. Very excited to finish this painting. Probably gonna hang it in some place in my home, hopefully. Some contrast there. And what's nice about that transparency of the paint for these darker, these really dark but also warm tones, is that you can put paint on, but then still with the same brush, especially with these tapered bristles, you can kind of pull it off a little bit, and it really helps create that transparency. And still, you can still see. Oh yeah, that's gonna turn out nice. So we're gonna actually bring some of that down in here as well, over top of this purple. Maybe even, oh yeah, over top of some of the sand here in the very foreground, because it's gonna look nice. Bring out those nice warm tones while also maintaining a certain level of contrast, which is really important, especially for my foreground, right? Things are more in focus. Things are more dominant in this foreground, or in any foreground of a landscape, I should say. And so you want to make sure you have emphasis in that sense of contrast up close and personal with you. So I'm going to come in here on top of some of these orange tones. today. In a little bit, I'll also give you an update about the painting we did, the little abstract painting study I showed you last week with the wood finish and oil enamel. Give you a little update on how that turned out. It turned out pretty nice. I'm pretty excited about it. Not sure what exactly I want to do with it just yet, but we are going to figure out something to do with it. Yeah, that's what we want. I had this dark purple. We're gonna mix some of that in here. Oh yeah. Oh man, doesn't that look gorgeous? And then some of that purple. It's looking pretty good. Taking a step back. Always good to take a step back. I'm gonna add some down. There we go. That's what we want. I just go back into some of these darker sections as well and try and those sections I already have and darken them up as well with this color because I really like this color, and plus it helps complement this texture we have from my palette knife for where the sand patches are pretty well. So I'm going to kind of come in here, not being too specific, just making sure that that contrast is even across my foreground here, especially in some of these areas where my foreground actually extends up into this middle ground here. So let's take a little bit more linseed oil. Really like how this is turning. I'm going to take some mineral spirits and thin it out a little bit. Thank you to the one person who's tuning in, probably my mom. There we go. There we go. It's starting to look the way I want it. Really subdividing some of these sections here. Ooh, that was really wet. Whoops. Let's actually see if we can. Come on now. There we go. So now I'm going to extend up here into this middle ground area because I'm trying to soften up some of the lines a little bit, so it looks a little hazier. Kind of get that beach fog coming in over the dunes. It's looking pretty good. I'm still worried about this section up here. Really, I'm not quite sure what this needs. And the more and more I look at the photograph, the more and more I get a little confused because I laid out that side of the hill a little different than what's in the photograph. So not quite sure what it needs. Yeah. So we're going to go back in with some of the sand color now after I rinse out my brush and my mineral spirits. Get that. I don't want that oil paint drying on my brush, ruining my brush. Wipe it off on my rag. So now I'm going to go ahead and take a palette knife again. And we're going to use this sand color here. Load up my palette knife. Just like that, just a little bit right on the edge, right? Got a little bit of Bob Ross going on right now. I'm going to go back over some of these sections just a little bit. Kind of cut in just a little bit in some of these areas. Make it feel like there's a little bit more texture than, because some of those areas where that transparent paint was kind of flattened out just a little bit. So I'm going to just add in a flare of the palette knife to make sure that texture is consistent overall. And that looks nice. That looks great. That's all I needed. That's good. So I'm actually gonna, this is the same color I mixed here is actually a little bit lighter. It's got a little bit more white in it. The other sections of sand I had before, and I want to kind of thicken those up. So I'm gonna go ahead, add it, especially in this section over here. I want to add a little bit more of this lighter sand color, use it up, because why not? Yeah, that's looking nice. It's a nice kind of two-tone sand now. All right, that looks pretty good. Let's figure out what we're gonna do in this section up here. I almost feel like I need to bring some of this green from the trees down into it and make it a little bit more of a warmer green section. So that's what we're gonna do. That is what we're going to do. So I'm gonna let's take a look at my palette here. Got some greens here. Got this nice bright permanent green. All right, we're gonna start with that as kind of my base. And we're gonna mix it. I'm gonna slice open this color I had sitting right here. Remember, with oil paint, the skin forms over top of that wet paint. There's still wet paint underneath. So, yeah. So that's a pretty nice green. It's pretty intense, honestly. Might be a little too much. So I'm actually gonna take a little bit of this red. Remember this Venetian red, mix that into it, because red and green are complementary colors. So when you mix them together, the hue, the intensity, or sorry, not the hue, the saturation, the intensity kind of cancels each other out and you get a nice grayish tone. So I'm actually going to add in a little bit of yellow ochre as well, kind of try and warm it up a little bit. Warm it up a little bit. I really like this kind of darker mid-tone though for this green, for this section. It's a little too intense still, so I need some more red. I'm gonna mix some more red into it. There we go. Starting to get there. And that red will really help me. That red in my color green will actually really help me breach this section red. If you remember, this section was really that bright Venetian red before, but it was too wet last time we worked on it. Between then and now, it dried, and I actually worked back into it with the sand color and to try and make it feel like it's flowing a little bit more. But as you can see, this section up here just really feels a little awkward. So we're going to bring in some of this green. And I'm actually going to probably apply the green in the same way I apply the sand, right, with my palette knife, because I don't want to lose that texture. Like I still want that texture to be relatively prominent, but maybe not as quite as light or as bright as it is right here in my foreground, right? So we have my green color, and that looks pretty good. So I'm going to load up my palette knife edge with that. We're gonna bring some of this down. Now it's still pretty wet because I tried to go back into it earlier, but let's try and make some stuff happen here. Oh, that's nice. There we go. Gonna make this hillside a little greener, a little grassier. So already that feels a little more natural. A little more natural than the other kind did. And what I'm going to do now is actually mix an even darker green here. And I'm going to do that by adding some purple. Yes, you heard me right, some purple. And then probably a bunch of sap green that's up here. Let's see if I can, there we go. There's my. Now what that purple does as well is help gray it out or desaturate that green. And I'm going to take some Van Dyke brown, mix that into a little bit. Still not quite as dark as I want it to be, so I'm going to mix just a little bit of Prussian blue in here because that's a really dark color. And that'll help. Yeah, there we go. Kind of the color of some really nice and dark seaweed. And I think I very rarely do this, but I think I am actually going to add some ivory black. Now, the reason I am always so hesitant to actually add straight to black into my paintings is because it can really suck out some of the life of the color. But I think in this case, I think I need to. So let me find that really quick. Black, where are you? No. Or actually, maybe I'll try and mix some phthalo green in there as well. Phthalo green, just dilapidated tube of paint. Still got that black. Where is it? Here we go. Oh, this is a good black. I can't quite remember where I got this tube of paint, but peach black. It's a really nice black. So we're gonna squeeze some of it, clear out the. Looks like I have some dry paint on the end of my tube here, so we're gonna clear that out and squeeze some out onto my palette. All right. So let's take some of that peach black, mix that into my green. Oh yeah, that's what we want. And then we can balance that out with the intense phthalo green. Make sure there is still some intensity of color and richness, brightness. Even though it's a nice dark color, we still want it to be nice and bright. Oh, that's good. I think that's good. Yep, that's nice. Okay, so we're going to again load up my palette knife. I'm going to start to bring in some of that. What was that? Just got a notification, or maybe it was an email. Oh, yeah. Oh, that green is exactly what this area of the painting needed. That's looking good. Let's get that nice clear. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna extend that green down into this section here. It's gonna mix with this sandy color over top of that red from before. And it's gonna be really nice. It's gonna be really nice. There we go. There we go. Oh yeah. Gotta connect these two a little bit more. All right, so I need a darker patch of green right there. I'm gonna kind of break this up into a more macro shape rather than just covering that whole area with the texture. Back up a little bit. Starting to connect this region and this region of the painting, right? That foreground to that middle ground. That's what we really wanted with that contrast, that diversity, that variety of color, but also consistency of contrast and slight shift, right? From front to middle, and then that background disperses. It's really good. That's nice. So we're going to bring this in here bit. That's looking good. So we're going to go back in with some of the sand color over top of that green right in this region, hopefully, and kind of even out that it's tricky when you're, oh shoot, I just got paint on my sweater. I'll have to clean that later. Okay. That's what I get. That's what I get for moving too quick. See now that, oh, you know what we're going to do? Oh, that's exactly what we're going to do. We got my fan brush. Remember how I said I added that lighter green into these areas? I still have that color on my palette. So I'm going to go ahead and take some of that color and we're going to go ahead and extend it to be over top of this area as it rises up into that middle ground. Oh, that's all I needed. Just to get that nice textured ground. Now I'm going to take a step back really quick. That looks pretty nice. Not bad, not bad. So I'm going to, I need to make some, whoops, some more of that sand color. So we're going to do that right now. Take some of that titanium buff, get that on here, and mix some white into it. Get some yellow ochre in there, and then add some more white. Cool. All right. So back up to my painting here. I need to bring this color back in here a little bit more. It's just hard because it's so wet. So, oh wait, there we go. What I was struggling with there for a second is that my painting is so wet because I had so much, paint laid down, but I wasn't able to get the same texture as I was originally with that sand color, because you get that texture by scraping the paint with the palette knife over top of this canvas texture. But now I'm working it a little bit, trying to bring in this same color again, just a little bit more. And we're getting there, little by little. Just have to be a little bit more patient, be a little bit more deliberate with my palette knife, which can sometimes be hard being so deliberate. A palette knife is an unwieldy tool, Doesn't necessarily always want to do exactly what you want it to do. You're not able to get a whole lot of control out of it, but starting to here. There we go. Sorry, I went a little silent there for a second. I'm just concentrating, trying to get this hillside to look exactly the way we need it to look. Exactly the way we need it to look, which doesn't look terrible. I'm actually gonna try and just. Oh, that looks a little better. Really trying to work that green and that sand. That looks pretty good right there. That's not bad at all. I might go back in again with some of this darker green. See if we can use some of this darker green to get a little. A little bit more. And that texture on that hillside, that looks pretty good. Cool. And again, we're gonna take that fan brush, a little bit of that light green, and we're gonna just come into this area just a little bit. Just a little bit. There we go. Oh, that's nice. It looks nice. Let's get. It's looking good. It looks like we need a little bit of a patch right here. And you know what I'm actually going to do? I'm going to bring back some of this red. We need some of that red back in here. So I'm going to load up my fan brush with that red just a little bit. Maybe add, thin it out just a little bit. Some mineral spirits. And grab some liquid to really kind of make it a little globbier. Make sure it's going to dry quicker as well. All right, so we've got that nice Venetian red all loaded up on my brush. I'm gonna come back in here and add some of that. Add some of that back in. Oh, that's gonna be so nice. That's gonna be nice. I think I just loaded this area up with a little bit too much of a few different colors, but I'm pushing it back now with this red. It's gonna connect it to this area back here a little bit. Got another email. Yeah. That's good. Oh, that's looking really nice, everybody. That's looking really nice. It's looking just the way we want it. Let's extend that red up the side of my hill a little bit. Oh, that's nice. Maybe even sneak some of that up here. What that red and that green are doing right now are really vibrating nicely because, again, they're complementary colors. And so when they sit next to each other, they actually create this optical vibration. It almost looks like there's like white and it's fuzzy in between those two colors. And so what I'm doing is actually trying to optically mix this red into the green in some areas so that way the green isn't too intense and also this red color connects it down into this area. So I'm actually going to go in and I think add some of this red color. And it's even mixing on my palette a little bit too. I'm getting this nice reddish gray color. Let's try and see if we can. Might have been a little too gray right there. I'm just trying to add a little bit of red into these areas that way. I mean, there already is a decent amount of red in there, but trying to, again, slowly, with color and texture, link this foreground to that middle ground. I'm going to take a nice big step back. We're going to mix this nice kind of like, I just mixed the red, green, and some of that sand color to get this weird, interesting gray tone, because I feel like, you know, it probably even needs to be a little bit brighter. I'm going to take some titanium buff and mix it into that color as well. Oh yeah, that's gonna get us where we want to go. I think it's gonna get us where we want to go. To lighten up some of that. It's almost like a darker pink now, but it's really nice. It's kind of bridging that red and dark green and everything together quite nicely in this area. Yeah, there we go. Okay, nice. Okay, that looks pretty good. I think we are just about there, everyone. Nice, okay. Nice. Right on. Okay. That feels pretty good to me. If I take a look at this my background, right? This last section of my horizon, it looks like I might need to add a little bit of color and texture in there. So what I'm gonna do, clean off my fan brush. We're almost done, everybody. We're almost done this painting. It's so close. So close. All right. Clean off my fan brush. Nice and good. We're gonna take some of that grayish red color we just had, and we're gonna mix it with my sand color, maybe even some of that greenish color. Let me get, there we go. There we go. Sorry, forgot to angle you down, my bad. So I'm trying to get this this gray, and I'm gonna go over top of this sand color that is up here, just right towards the foreground. But it needs to be a little bit darker, I think, because right now it's a little, yeah, it's too light. Well, actually, maybe not. Yeah, it's too late. Okay, nice. Get a little bit of this in there. Purple. It's a little too green for me right now. Oh, there we go. There it is. Use that Venetian red to cancel out that green. I had a little bit too much green, but oh, that's a little too gray, isn't it? I need What do I need? Let's angle you back down here. What do I need? What do I need? Maybe some Van Dyke Brown. Not bad. Not bad. I think some of this color is going to help out a lot. There we go. That's looking good. Yeah, I need some more of that. Come here. Oh, that's good. That is nice. That's a nice color right there. So we got this gray. You can't even tell what color that is on the screen. That's fine. It's a very, very subtle color, mixing greens and reds, some browns. And we're going to go ahead, take some of this, load up my palette knife just a little bit. And we're going to go in some of these areas right here, just to give it that sandy texture again. Oh, that's good. So again, I'm getting a sandy texture by scraping that canvas with the paint, really scraping it over the surface. And that's allowing me to get this nice texture, but I don't want it too much. Remember, this is their section of our painting that's farthest away from us, so I don't want that texture too much. I want that nice rich texture up front in my foreground. So I'm actually going to put down some of it, and then I'm going to go back over it in just a second with a brush and try and knock it back just a little bit. Yeah, it's up here. All right, so we have just a little bit of that gray on there. Then I'm going to take, remember that that flat brush with a nice spread out bristles. I'm going to come up in here. Maybe put a little bit of linseed oil, just straight linseed oil, no color on my brush right now, right? And try and knock back this color just a little bit, that texture just a little bit. Oh, that's looking nice. And that purplish kind of tone really helps to complement against the yellow, warmer, that warmer yellow sand color in the back. Sorry, I'm concentrating. It's hard to talk and paint at the same time. Normally I don't. Just being really nice and light. Oh yeah, bring that up into those sections here. Nice. Almost like I'm glazing. Putting down a glaze of this purple over top of that yellow just to knock it back just a little bit. And then I think what we're going to do at the very end is lighten my sky a little bit. Just put like a nice lighter glaze on it. Oh, that looks nice. Looks like I put a little bit too much right in here. So I'm actually using my brush with some mineral spirits to pull that paint back off the canvas. Just a little bit. And I'm going to come in here. I'm starting to get out of hand here. I'm going to come in here with my rag and pull some of that color back out. Yeah. Wipe that away. Because it was a little too much. A little too much in that area, that region. Because that's like my main crest right in the center. Oh, that's gorgeous. That looks great. That looks great. Very good. All right. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. So I'm actually using my rag to come back in here and wipe away in some regions where I thought the gray I just put down was a little much. Because it was in some areas. But overall, that looks quite nice. Maybe we can... Man, overlaying this gray with this subtle green in my dunes is giving me some really nice colors. Right on. Okay. That looks really nice. We're going to actually take a little bit of just maybe some straight titanium buff, or I feel like it's a little, that purple is just a little too much in some areas. So I'm going to actually try and... Oh, there we go. Wow, that does wonders. There we go. All right. That looks great, everybody. Oh, yeah, that's nice. I'm just really sorry. I'm starting to get nitpicky now, but just adding just a little bit of that light green right there on that area, and then we're gonna knock it back just a little bit. Really blend it in with that gray. I just added down that purpley gray. Give us that nice wispy area where there's some fog. Maybe it needs to come over here a little bit too, actually. Almost a little too much. There we go. Push it back a little bit. Nice. Beautiful. Wow, that looks nice. All right, so last but not least, we're going to add a little bit of glaze on my sky right here. Ooh, wow, I got black all over my fingers. Look at that. Must have been just on that tube of black paint. All right, so in order to do this, remember, a glaze. Sorry, this is actually going to be what's called a scumble. There are scumbles and there are glazes. Glaze is when you overlay a darker color with transparency to it to a lighter color. Scumble is the opposite, when you overlay a lighter color with transparency over a darker color. So we're going to actually overlay some white with a nice soft brush. Maybe not white, but we'll mix a color for it. I need to find a nice soft brush. Let's pick out a brush. I've got my brushes. Oh yeah, by the way, I kind of redid my cart here. I don't know if I mentioned that, but makeshift cart. And let's find a nice soft bristle brush. I'm really not sure what I want to do that with here. Oh, this one's pretty nice. Yep. So again, for this nice glaze, I'm looking for a brush that has nice soft bristles to it. You can see this look. It's like this is what happens to old dry paint on a brush. It looks like smoke or like dust coming off of it. It's kind of cool. Anyway, so I'm going to mix a color here. In my painting, my sky looks almost like grayish white almost because, again, it was rainy, really overcast, but during the day. So I'm going to start with a bunch of white. And I just need to find a spot on my palette mix here, and I'm kind of running out of room. So we're going to come over the color there too. Let's hold on real quick. We're going to scrape up. Be right back. Where are my Okay, we're going to mix it right here where this lighter green color was because there isn't much left of it, and I don't really mind if that color gets in there too much. We're just going to take just the littlest bit of cerulean blue. That might have even been too much. Yep, probably. Oh, perfect. My liquid is right here. Excellent. And I like the base color tone of my sky that I have right now. It's this kind of blue washed out. So I'm just going to get some clean turpentine. Got some in this jar right here. We're going to take a bunch of that on into my brush. I'm going to load this up. And I'm going to go ahead and put this nice light glaze. Ooh, don't do that to me. Don't drip too much. There we go. It's nice lighter. It's looking pretty good. Yeah, I'm just trying to lighten up my sky a little bit. Mix some white directly into that wet layer I already have. I just laid down. It's going to give me this really nice washy glaze that's going to go over my sky. Maybe I take some linseed oil just because it's a little bit thicker. It makes it so it doesn't quite drip as bad because it looks like I'm starting to get some drips in here, which is no bueno. It's not good. When you get drips, you don't panic. But you do have to act fast so it doesn't mess up your whole painting. So I'm going to come in here. Drips are a tricky thing. We talked about drips before with our underpainting for our other landscape, which maybe we'll get back to next week. Yeah, there we go. Much better. So we're going to lay in this glaze. So you can see the sky is starting to lighten up quite a bit. I do like some of these darker sections over here, so I'm going to keep the paint nice and thin. That way that dark color still shines through, right? Still shines through just a little bit. What's nice with doing glazes after you have the majority of your painting done as well is that you can actually, at least with landscapes, if you're doing glaze in your sky, you can start to carve out some of these back hills with a little bit more definition, or add in even a second layer behind it. Say there's something in the distance, or you're trying to make it feel like it's a little hazier. So that's what actually I'm going to do. I'm going to start to bring in some of that white over top of just the very edge of my horizon line. And it's going to really help push back these dunes and get that nice beach fog feeling. Oh yeah, that's starting to look nice. Real nice. Some of that on there. And again, if it's too much, if you bring in too much, like I just did on this mountain peak, we're gonna just pull that back up with my rag. You can always pull it back up with your rag. So maybe it's gonna cascade a little bit over that hillside right there. Come down. Oh, that's looking good. That's nice. Nice and light. Like push it back, keep it going. Maybe come back in here with my rag again, pull it up again just a little bit. Kind of really work that material into the surface, make it really feel like a more believable fog. Again, I'm using a titanium white with a lot of, thinned down with a lot of mineral spirits and linseed oil, a little bit of liquid to make sure that it's going to dry in a nice, timely way. And trying to create this scumble over top of my sky to push it back a little bit and create this nice wispy beach fog right on my horizon to help really connect some of these areas together. Too dark in there. And let's take a step back, and that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. Maybe we can push that back a little bit more. All right. And if I want, I can come back in here with my rag, make sure my trees are standing out on my little line, between the middle ground and the background a little bit more. Some of those green plants and things. But overall, let's take a step back, everyone. This looks pretty good. I'll take a step back like that. Very good. See how that scumble over top of that horizon line really helps push back that space, really creating that beach fog, and really helps contrast the density of texture and mark making in the ground in the foreground. Excellent. All right, we are finally finished our Cape Cod landscape. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. Thanks again for tuning in, for those of you that did. This Friday, we have another Zoom drawing lesson. We'll be talking about drawing animals. And thanks so much. Be happy, healthy, safe, and take care. See you next Tuesday. Bye.